Hey, so you might have seen a fair bit of uproar lately about a comedian called Reuben Kaye, and a joke that he made on The Project, a TV show in Australia recently. I'll let you Google it, but yeah, if you look it up, you'll see his joke there about a joke about Jesus. It's pretty full on. I personally found it pretty funny. A lot of people did, a lot of people didn't. First point to make is The Project have now come out doing a PR stunt, apologising about airing it, but anyone who's ever seen Reuben, whether on interview or stand-up, knew exactly what they were getting. They did not book Reuben Kaye thinking they were going to get dad jokes. They knew exactly what was going to happen, and they were doing it for ratings and publicity for both, but they knew what was going to happen, so they can't act surprised now. Second point is, a lot of the people who are angry about this say it somehow infringes on their beliefs or their faith, and I'm not here to argue that. I'm a supporter of anyone having their faith as long as it doesn't impinge on anyone. But the thing is that their faith is exactly that. It's a faith. It's a belief system. They believe it. Doesn't necessarily make it fact. So to a lot of people out there, the joke is simply about it's like making a joke about a character in another storybook. I don't mean that to be rude, but it's basically like choosing a favourite book of yours and making a joke about a character in it. It's not real to a lot of people. It's just, and the same people will argue about their belief systems being real and need to be respected. And of course they need to be respected, but they're usually, and I'm going to generalise here, usually the same sort of people who, when people from the queer community will tell them who they are, who they identify as, won't believe them. They won't believe someone standing right in front of them, won't believe someone actually telling them, but they'll believe a book from a long time ago that was most likely just a bunch of fables to try and guide people on how to live. Next point, and this is a really big one, is that wasn't the only joke that he made in the whole interview. The next one, the main joke he made, I thought, was when they were talking about how busy he is. He's touring 3 shows at a time at the moment. So he's touring 3 shows. I can't even think 3 thoughts without falling over, so God knows how he does that. And when they ask him about it, he says he's so thickly spread across this country, he should be renamed systemic racism. Let that sink in. Just as with the Jesus joke, the panel all laughed in response, but then it moved on. But there's been no uproar necessarily that I've seen about that joke. And you know why? Because I think inherently people know that that joke is based in reality. You have a lot of systems in place that are racist. And you know what? There are people in both those Muslim and Christian communities that they're talking about being offended by that other joke that would have been on the end of these sorts of things as well. So it's not just one community get it. But I don't think that's been raised as a big issue, because overall the people offended by the Jesus joke, and it probably, and I'm going to generalise again, aren't people that are affected by the racist side of things. So that's not an issue for them. Even though, again, just as with a person's identity, racism's a real thing. It's a fact. It's not a faith. It's not a belief. And people know when they truly believe something to be the way it is, even if they don't want to explicitly say it, but they know it's a fact, and that they don't want to raise it. They don't want to talk about it. It makes them uncomfortable, and they know that they can't necessarily argue against the fact. They can debate, but it doesn't mean they're going to ever be right. Whereas with a belief system based on faith, they know that's up for debate. It's not a scientific fact, it's a belief. And that's okay to have that belief, but you can't then argue against other things on the basis of that as if it is a scientific fact.